Welcome, Spark. So what kind of Spark are you? Player? Creator? Or both? The stories yet to be told. The games to be made. Civilizations and societies to be formed. The universe is waiting for you to bring it to life. Now, how do we begin?
And we're live. Well, I'm half live. Thomas is live.
Yep, here I can move
on. So we're back for another Tuesday education stream that Thomas came up with. So Thomas, what's the stream topic for today?
I did. So this was actually a project that I have been playing around with just at home and wanting to make a game based off of it. And it's basically a Speechcraft system. So there's a lot of components that go into making that. So mainly there's kind of three. There is a deposition system, so like reputations, and we get to use the team system and code tiles for that. There's also like just getting and entering a dialogue, which we're going to do a little bit fairly different one than the default Spark. We're going to model it after kind of the Elder Scrolls Oblivion style. That's kind of the inspiration for this. And then third, you can layer finally the kind of Speechcraft mini game on top of that, which allows you to affect disposition and change outcomes. So if it was like a merchant, you could, if you basically you could sweet talk them and increase your friendliness toward them, and they would be cheaper to buy things like that. So yeah, so I wanted to share that with you. It's kind of UI intensive. And something, it kind of creates drama in a lot of games that, besides just like combat and stuff like that. So I thought it would be interesting to share with you guys.
So it's based on Oblivion.
It is, yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
That was a really cool speech crafting system that they had in Oblivion.
Yep. So, and I'll show you, I have like the final in here first. What we're going to aim for. It's quite a bit to cover in an hour, so we're going to hope to do it the best. We'll see how much memory I have and how good I am at this. So
yeah, and also a quick interjection. Are people seeing us on video? I hear some people are having trouble loading video. If you are, well, I guess if you are, you can't hear me giving you instructions. If you are, do this. If you can't see what we're telling you, do this one thing.
Yep. You can wave, but we can't see you either. But
and I'm assuming people can hear us okay. We're all good in that regard. So, anyways, back to scheduled tutorializations.
Yes. So I will show you what we're aiming for, and of course, Brian's going to keep an eye on the Twitch comments for us. So any questions that come up, I'm happy to explain things and go over stuff. So just let us know. Thank you. All right. So here's this little example world that I made. So here is my example one that I got working. I put this together yesterday, and here's the one we're going to be doing today. It's a lot prettier. So let me make sure this is set here. True. All right. So if I load in this world, I'm over here. So the goal today that we're going to try to build is this system where we can approach a character, an NPC, and we'll enter a little dialogue prompt here. So we have a hello, how about them Seahawks, that's our persuade, so that's going to take us to the Speechcraft minigame, and then goodbye. And then once we go in here, we have basically this little turn wheel, and as I press up here on the D-pad, or use the D-pad I should say, I have different prompts on what I can do, and they're weighted differently, so as I go around and rotate and select across the board, my disposition for this character gets affected. So I can do that.
And then also remove our frame so people can see a bit better too.
Oh yeah. Anytime that we're doing UI, we probably should remove that frame.
Right,
so
exactly.
You can see the nice clear 1 to -1, 1 to -1 across. So there you go. That's what we're going to try to build today. And with that, so if I go back here, let's see if she... Actually, I need to make her a little bit happier. I'm making it worse. No.
Yeah, so this was... I actually had a lot of fun with this minigame back in Oblivion, like of sort of just slowly increasing my disposition with different merchants, and then they like want to marry me and stuff, and that was always fun. Get away, you peasant! Nice.
So there you go. So that's what we're working on. Yeah, like Miss God points out, it's definitely a pizza.
Yeah, and just as a reiteration, it's If you ever played Oblivion, it's basically the conversation kind of speechcraft tree of when you're trying to increase the disposition of merchants to like you better and then give you better prices on stuff. So it's Thomas chose it because it's like an awesome combination of UI work and sort of gameplay work, and then I think you did some really cool things with team assignments.
I did, yeah, exactly. So with dispositions and things like that, you can make people your ally or your enemy. So we're going to use that too, as well as some fun stuff with team color. So there you have it. So this is what we're starting off with, just a nice little scene. We got a character here with the default third-person adventure brain, nothing fancy. And then you have this, I think I named here. What did I name here? Oh, I had those off. Let me turn those on real quick. Ever you're creating, make sure, at least I find it extremely helpful to have show name objects on as well as the brain references on. Just helps you keep track of things better. So I have Lovely Lady here, and I have her totally blank. And they're both just getting referenced by my controller key, which turned off the demo. Anyway, so this is where we start. So the first part of the tutorial and the first thing we have to get started with is the dispositions. And the way I'm going to do that is actually going to use a logic cube here. And then for those who are following along, I am using an Xbox controller, except I have to type on here. Alright, there we go. So I'm going to put this down, and the reason I'm going to use an logic cube is I want this code to be running even as I'm independent of the characters or whether I'm switching brains in them, things like that. So I'm going to go in here. I'll just name this real quick. Disposition logic. There we go. And first thing I'm going to do is create a number variable, and that is going to be merchant disposition. So you can see I'm going to have some of my variables from I used before. So we're going to do that, and we're going to clamp this guy. A lot of games go off a 100 scale, so 0, you're the worst, and then 100 is the highest. So we're going to go with that. And let's see here. So I'm going to go under here and find my clamp function. There we go. And then you set, so a clamp works where you set a minimum and a maximum, and the number can't go lower than the min and can't go higher than the max. So my min is going to be 0, and my max is going to be, not global, it's going to be 100. There we go. So that's going to keep my disposition in there. And then from that point, what I want to do is set what's going to happen with that. So when this disposition changes, we want to change the relationship between our player and the lovely lady. So when merchant disposition is going to be, let's say, less than or equal to 20, we're going to make, let's see here, let's find teams, team, there we go, team 2, settings, and we're going to make enemy with team 1. And so...
I've actually never really used that make enemy with tile.
I know it is, and it's really powerful. So you can switch the relationships by code, you know, so that's how the system works.
Interesting. Okay.
And so in this example, we're going to only change dialogue options, but we could make it where they get angry at us and attack us. You can, you know, switch to anything. So some people will be familiar a bit with like changing teams if you do the daily brain challenges. There's a couple like recruiting enemy brain as well as like recruiting hero that do a little bit like that, but besides that, there's really not too much exposure, so that's kind of why I wanted to touch on this. So you'll see here that our player is team 1, and our lovely lady's set to no, so we want to make sure that she is going to be a team 2. Alright, team equals team 2, perfect. Alright, so from there, we can copy that line, and then we'll say when it's greater than or equal to, we'll go with 80, and we'll make ally for team 1. And then finally, this one's in the middle here. So if we're greater than 20, and we'll do this. But we're less than 80. And you can put those on one line if you want. I sometimes will just keep it separate. Team 2 is neutral. So that kind of sets up all the relationships right there that you'll be looking for to have that get affected. And then one thing we're going to do, which is pretty fun, is actually mess around with team color and have that on a gradient with the disposition. And so the way to do that is we're going to go team 2 color. And that's going to equal, and I have this written down or else I'd never remember with the math here. One thing, Twitch, you got to give me a hard time. I went and watched my first stream the other day, and I make sound effects like crazy. So I'm like just ta-da-da and make random noises. So
you still have nothing on BJ though.
Oh yeah, BJ, that's true. So be patient as I like make silly noises to myself all the time, because I will do that over and over again. So I'm searching for a variable here, and basically I wanted green to be at like really bright green for 100 and 0 bright red, and all that is I basically have a constant that's multiplied by the deposition to get that deposition. Where am I at? Values. Oh, it's not wanting to pop up with. Team 2 color. Oh, I'm looking for hue. Oops. There we go. So the hue is what we're affecting. That's like the actual color content. Now it should pop up with the number. There we go. And the number I'm looking for is 0.003, so very low number. So hue is on just a range from 0 to 1. And to learn more about that, Emma Scott has a great tutorial on that where he draws basically colors on primitives, and it looks great.
And actually, 0 and 1 are the same color.
Yeah, because it rounds around.
Mm-hmm.
So
if you want to like technically have it be constrained so like it's never the same color, then it'd be between 0 and 0.99.
Yep. All right, so that's kind of most of the logic that we need outside these characters. And we're going to go into the player here. And this is kind of one thing I like to do. It's really random. I separate all the like base logic out by an ignore line, and then I just work at the top and keep all of it outside.
Ah, interesting.
For this one, I'm going to also get rid of our display health by default. I'm going to get rid of that shoot just because we don't need it. And I will go and change a little bit with the interact tile because that's how we're going to start the conversation. But other than that,
like,
I'm going to.
I don't think any of those are indented or ignore line right now.
They're not supposed to be.
Oh, okay.
I just do that.
You put that there.
It's
so
basically a space for me. Yeah, it's like my separate.
Right, as Mescat said, it's actually between 0 and 0.99607843137, so on and so forth.
Exactly. He would know. So
yeah.
So on here, I have all my default. One thing I'm gonna do right off the bat, so we can kind of test this feature throughout, is I'm going to put a little debugging. So I'm gonna do. Left right bumper pressed, and we're gonna take the let's find it here. See, sound effect. There you go. Point that out. You're gonna give me a hard time. So that variable is gonna belong to the disposition logic, and I'm looking for merchant disposition. So there we go. So when that pump gets pressed, we're going to increment that by, let's say, 10. That should be a good number. And we're going to left bumper, we're going to de-increment that. And then we're going to use, let's say, I took off the shoot, so we'll use Y. So when I hold Y, we're going to display, where appearance, display, that number. Actually, let's make this a little bit fancier. We're going to display a meter with max 100 And then we're going to do that meter. If you guys don't know, there's a meter gallery, and you can choose different kinds, which is kind of fun. I like that one, actually. And we're going to set that color, actually. Let's find it here. Team 2. Team color. All right, there we go. So if everything works, when I hold this, it's going to display that that number, which we set, right, from 0 to 100 on a meter, and we're going to have that the color of that gradient that we set. And that should do it. Oh, I need to set a position. So whenever you're displaying anything on screen, you have to make sure you define where that's going to be, unless you want it exactly in screen center, which I think is the default. So we're going to drop this over on, I like screen center left. There we go. So let's hit test. Okay, so there's that meter. And there's my disposition going up, and there's it going down.
I like the hue change.
Yep, so there's that gradient, and that's that 0.003 going to work on that scale of 0 to 100. So there you go. And I think the way it actually ends up being is it's a hue of 0 to 0.3, and that's just getting times by 0 to 100. So it's not that hard, but there you go. So that's a good way of testing to see the variables working. I have it from 0 to 100 and all that. So we'll jump back in here. We'll, just for fun, we'll also, when we hold Y, we'll also display text. And I think I already have it in here. Merchant disposition. And we're going to do that screen left, and we're going to stack that on top. Where's that? Positioning, HUD stacking, stack up. And we'll also do that in the team color. Here we go. All right, so that should look a little bit nicer. So from there, you pretty much have the baseline set for the disposition, and we're setting those relationships as they change, and we'll see more how that gets affected once we start the conversation. All right, so now we have that first part done. So to start a conversation, I'm going to interact from my player to the lovely lady. So let's set that up. So down here we already have like the default interaction choices, and we're going to do exactly that. I'm going to switch that real quick. One thing I'm going to do is the person I'm interacting with, I'm going to set that object as just my target, and we'll use that in just a little bit. So that's telling me now this object variable target is set to the person I'm interacting with. And then from there, let's see, interact, perfect. Interact target equal when be pressed. So we're gonna end up creating a new page here. And I like this one just called conversation. And so when I interact, let's see here, if I interact, oh, I know what I want to do. Global, and we want this at the top. So when I'm going to interact, I'm going to turn a global variable to true, and that is just going to be conversation. And so when that gets set, I'm going to switch my page.
So you can no longer control them.
Yep. And that's, yeah, I don't want my character moving around as I'm talking and doing UI stuff. So that would be the point for that.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people haven't really done that much. You know, that's a really simple way. If you're making a simple game, a simpler game where all the controls are inside the character, just having like a switch page to have them stop moving is sometimes can be easier than activating, deactivating brain. At least easier to understand.
Yeah, and as far as, and it's safer. I don't know. It's kind of safer because you can switch it back and forth. I don't know. I guess it's just as easy to activate, deactivate, but I don't know. I like to do that. Or even like just leave your first page on an object blank, and it's like an idle page, and you just switch back to it when you need to.
Yep.
And this I'm gonna do. We're gonna search because I can't ever remember what this is. Okay, so when that's interacted, global is set. Alright, so that will put me in here, and we'll test this real quick just to make sure I didn't mess any of that up. But I will give myself an option, so when I press B, I'm going to switch back to the previous page. So that allows me to resume back to my controls. Alright, let's see if this works. Alright, so I'm moving around my stick here and I can't do anything. And then I hit B. No! Oh, see? I'm glad I tested that because I forgot to turn off global conversation, so it kept switching me back and forth. And global conversation equals false. There we go. All right, so one really important thing, right, when we're entering the conversation is we're going to a new camera because we're going to have that camera facing toward the character, and the way we're going to do that is I actually do like to use the camera gizmo for that. Oh, it's right here, so we're just going to grab that. And one important thing is that we're going to be creating and destroying these, so we want to make sure we sent that to a template, which is just kind of like a blueprint. Allows you to reference it and then create it. So it won't exist until I tell it to be created somewhere else. And we're just going to throw a first-person brain on it, and that's pretty much it, to be honest, on that guy. And then we're going to go in here, and so when we switch to this page... let's see, page entered, it's under timing now. So when page entered, we're going to actually look to see if that camera exists already in the world. So I'm going to just do all objects contains, if not all objects contains, and we're going to pick that camera. So I don't want to make two cameras on accident, so that's why I'm doing this in here. So not all that contains camera, we're going to create that camera now. Create. Camera. And then we get to set the position and the direction that it's facing. So I went and kind of played around with it, and the best... kind of, at least I have like the vectors set off, the offset that works well for this. We're going to use the target, so this is why it was really important to set the target as that character, because that's where we're going to create the camera based off of at the target. And we're going to do target position. Don't forget to add the position, or else it doesn't know what you're talking about. I always forget to clarify like target position. I just think target. So target position plus... and it is position forward, so that's going to be in front of the lovely lady. And I had a nice multiplayer on here. Let's see.
Oh, we didn't even talk about her hat, didn't we?
Oh, I know. I haven't even pointed out the hat yet, which is kind of sad. Target forward times. Oops. Times
what?
2.
People are saying you're going to screw it up.
I'm screwing this up? How am I screwing this up?
I don't know. They're just jealous that you're able to do this much stuff this fast, I think.
I know, I'm flying right now. I feel like I'm like going quick. I'm going pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm on a good clip. We can do this.
Oh, indent that switch page. That is a good point. I don't think you have that switch page indented.
Okay, I'll take a look. 1 second.
Chat is informative. oh man, can you imagine, like... not having any switch page indented, just like continually switching back and forth in pages. I've done that before, and it's kind of...
It trips out.
Yeah, it leads to interesting things.
And values object. So, and that's telling it to face towards. So that should work. Let me go and see.
Yep, switch page.
I meant to. Yep.
There you go.
There you go. Thank you, Twitch. You guys are the best. Okay. And one thing I want to do here as well is make sure we destroy the camera. So destroy camera. Okay. We will see if my madness pays off here. No! Ah!
Well, you got a great shot of her shoes.
I did.
And by the way,
funny.
people are wondering why she's wearing a lucky Irish hat. It's because of our St. Patty's Day, or not day, St. Patty's Week sale.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have a St. Patty's sale going right now.
Yeah.
So the lovely lady's in a celebratory mood.
Yep.
That Clover's and Gold hat.
50% off of 3 months of Spark Premium, which if you don't already have it and you enjoy logging into Spark often, it's kind of a no-brainer because it's 50% off. It's basically ends up being $5 more than just 1 month of Spark Premium, and you get all of those extra. Oh, yeah, I see. Plus Target Forward. Yeah, you need to set Target. Yeah, and then you get all of those extra tickets for playing your Treasure Trove. Basically, if you have Spark Premium, you will unlock everything in the Treasure Trove.
Yep, every week. I have a surplus right now of like 20-some tickets just from already the 2 weeks that they've had it.
Yeah, so Thomas, people are asking if you can explain all of the vector things on this one line.
Sure, yeah, not a problem. So, basically what is happening, so it's vector math. So as soon as you're talking about a position, right, you have an x-axis, a y-axis, then a z-axis. And then, so the way it works is I'm creating this camera at the position of the character, so that's the lovely lady, the target, and I'm wanting to adjust it from that point. So I'm saying at that point, go forward, and this default is 1 meter in that direction. So it's 2 meters forward of the character. So this would put it in front of it. And then position is actually at the feet of the character. So that's why I'm raising it up by 1.5 from the world. And then I'm telling it to be oriented toward the target. And so in one line like this, it's actually really clean because you can add these, basically these constants that affect those variables. And this is just a quick way to do it. I think it's pretty convenient. So yeah, if any other questions on that, let me know. But that's what that vector math is. And we'll be doing some more vectors with the UI too. The UI is heavily vector based, but on a 2-dimensional surface. So that should make it work now. I'm hoping. Let's find out. Jump in here. There we go. I just need to make sure that controls are off.
And you're saying your profile thing's really fancy? Do they mean...
because I've never... Yeah, because it's not been clicked on.
Yeah.
I know, it's a special shimmer.
Yeah. Well, Thomas did just log into the account on this computer for the first time right now.
Controls.
And he got a nice gift of credits from Team Dakota after...
This isn't my personal one. This is my work.
Our work ones. We just inject all these credits into our work ones so that we can have all the things if you need them.
And we're gonna do. This will just make it a little bit cleaner. So this will prevent it from looking at her feet.
Do you want to just quickly, once you're out of there, click the back button so it stops sparkling for people?
Yeah. Are they slightly irritated?
They're yelling, and I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Okay, there we go.
And
it's like I think it's is it undoing right now? It is.
Yeah, it's undoing. So you have to. There you go. Right, you have to be there. Oh yeah.
Man, I gotta make sure it didn't. Mess that up. Okay, cool.
Mascot in chat says, so you guys are just earning credits instead of a paycheck at Team Dakota, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly how we get paid.
That is how we get paid.
In credits. And Goblin vocals.
Exactly. So at this point now, we got the camera set, so we're ready to do a quick little conversation menu, and this goes pretty fast. You've seen this if you've seen other tutorials that are like main menus or any kind of selection screen. It's very simple where you basically manipulate a number variable up or down. So let's see. So selection is going to be the variable. We're going to actually clamp this guy again. And let's find.
And Eric in the bakery, we don't accept bribes of cookies. Yeah.
At least not with ones with nuts in them.
Yeah.
That's the.
Yeah. We're looking to have community members join us actually this week in our office. That'll be pretty cool. And one of them's trying to bribe us with cookies for credits. So if you make good enough cookies, you may be able to bribe us, but we don't accept bribes.
Just type it. We'll do 3. Alright, and you'll see this all come to light as soon as we get a display. It's kind of hard to visualize from the code of what's going to end up happening.
Oh, wait a minute, he's making 18 dozen cookies? Holy cow.
What?
I was reading like 18 cookies. Wait a minute, 18 dozen? Someone's making 18 dozen cookies for Team Dakota? That's a lot of cookies.
That is a ton of cookies. And I'll explain this. Let me get this on here. 1, 1. Okay, so as you can see, I have it clamped, this variable, and then by pressing up on the D-pad, I can move it up by 1 and go down by 1 if I'm pressing down. And we'll make sure also to do a once. One thing that's important too is that you're noticing that I'm in the second page of my character, so these are going to display and only be happening as I'm in this page. So when I'm just running around the world normally, this won't be happening. So that's why it's important to switch page entirely. So this code is the only one running. And we're going to set that to start equals 1. Actually, we might as well make that a page entered too. Okay. So there you go. And then now what we need to do is actually do the display. So the way we do that is when the selection changes, we're actually going to affect how the display is. So when selection equals 1, that's when I'm highlighting my first option. So this would be like the hello, how about them Seahawks, and the goodbye. That's selection 1, 2, and 3 to kind of help you visualize this before we get there. So selection 1, selection 2, and selection 3 is what we're going to go with. Okay. And we'll have a display when we're not selecting it. And the way to do that is just a nice else. So else tile is really powerful. All that is saying, if that is not true, then run this code after, basically. Mm-hmm. So when that is, when selection equals 1, what we want it to do is display, and we're going to just put in a nice text, and we'll just do our hello. So display hello, and we're going to just set this to bottom left. And since we are selecting it, we want to let the character know that's what they're selecting. Mm-hmm. And so when that's the case, we're going to actually do that by color. So we'll use yellow. And then else, if not, we're going to do the color white. And we're going to do that for all of these guys. And then we're going to change the... Here, this will be faster. Ooh, I passed it. So, goodbye. Oh, I'm going, there it is. Goodbye. So what this is going to allow me to do is just run through these different prompts, and these can be whatever you want them to be and for your game, and you can get way intense. And that's like when I'm messing around with this at home, I want to have like a random generator system that, like, based on your disposition, like the prompts change and all of that. So
yeah, so basically what you're doing in those few lines is when one of those texts are selected, then it appears yellow, and if it's not selected, it appears white.
Exactly.
So,
all right.
It's a nice little... It's always the best... Like, the more visual indicators you can give to people, the better.
Exactly. You want to make it very clear. Alright, so now we're going to run into test here. Let's see if this worked. So that's really small and hard to read.
Yeah.
I forgot to make it extra large. And I need to make sure, I think I don't have it where it's pressed.
Yeah, I'm seeing like you're quickly cycling between all of them.
Yeah. Let me make sure here. I know it's a little funky. Okay. Font size, get that nice and big. Too much. Okay. And then on here also, I want this to actually decrement by 1, and I want this to increment up.
Oh yeah, that's where you're
because you're going 1, 2,
confusion.
3.
Yeah.
So that should be a little bit more easy for you guys to see.
Yeah, and
there you go.
There we go. And this is the basics of a conversation tree, but Tom's is adding so much more on top of it too.
I am.
All
So
right.
at that point, what we're going to do is actually put kind of the function in, right? So now at this point, you have to select what you're going to say. So when I'm selected here, I'm going to have the option to press A. So when A is pressed, I'm going to actually do a new Boolean. We're going to set that to true. So selection made equals true. Okay, and we're going to actually do, and we're going to set the number to. So we have one that's going to be basically saying, yes, the game, I've made a selection. Then the next one is going to be saying what that selection is. I probably shouldn't make it the same variable name, but that's pretty terrible on my part. Two and 3. There we go. So we're going to do some fancy things now based off of those selections. So I'm going to come down here, and we're going to say, and this is just kind of, you can set this up in so many different ways. This is just kind of the way I like to do it and how I visualize and think about things, but there's so many different ways you can line these up. I'm kind of more of a, I'll put more lines of code in there if it makes it easier for me to read later. That's like my preference, as opposed to be like most efficient and jam as much stuff in there. I'll like make it kind of nice and readable. That's kind of how I like to do it. All right, so selection made. And so now, once I make a selection, I'm going to have different things happen based off of what I'm doing. Ugh, this 3 is killing me. These bumpers on this controller don't work super good, so that's why it's not easy to switch pages constantly. Okay, so let's say when selection is made 1, we're going to keep it, well, let's do this first. So goodbye is going to basically repeat what happens when I do B, except she's going to say something. And we'll do like 3 seconds. That should be good.
So she'll say something about like, I didn't want to talk to you anyways, and then goes away.
Exactly. And see, I could say, she could be like, have a nice day if she likes me, or get out of here, I hate you because you're my enemy or whatever. So selection made equals 3. And I will do, at this point we won't do that. We'll do that after we get the Speechcraft in there, because that's more important. We will have the target. Actually, we're going to do just another display. So display, positioning. Oop. Screen bottom is kind of where I like to have their responses. At least that's going with Oblivion background. That's how they do it. Variable. We're going to do a color here. Make sure we can read this, so I don't have to do that. Sometimes I like to do all the modifiers first before I actually put it, or else I forget.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, we're just going to have her say, we'll just do goodbye back. There you go. And then after 3 seconds, everything will close back out. Now, if I do other fancy things, we're going to do, 1 is going to be a little bit fancier, and then 2 will be taking us into the Speechcraft. So if I do 1, we're going to display, and we're going to actually do the same thing on here too. So when we say hello, we won't have it go into further dialogue, which you could have it. You could have like trees where it goes in super deep, but we're not gonna have time for that today.
Right.
So we will default to top of the morning, and the way we're gonna do this is we're gonna switch her responses based off if she likes us or not. I'm trying to find, there's Bestie, and the other one is Get Away You Peasant. All right. And what we're going to do is have her answer these based off of her relationship to us. So, and she's Team 2, so Team 2, and it's great because you have these conditionals. Let's see if I can find them here. See right here, so you actually can do, like, on the win side, you have is enemy with, question mark, is ally with, or is neutral. So that allows you to, you know, run code based off of those relationships.
Cool. So you're actually using the team numbers rather than saying, like, I can attack you now.
Yeah, and I actually,
team numbers instead.
So this is what I should do. This would be, if you want to, like, expand this out, the way to do it is actually team target, because now it's anybody I'm talking to based on that team. If I just did Team 2, it's only her. Mm-hmm. So this would be like if you're making a more global system and have a bunch of people. So is enemy with, and then my team should always be Team 1. At least I'll just do that in this case. You could set it up to like player team or whatever. Team 1. Is ally with, and is neutral with. And she's, you know, it's top of the morning because she's, you know, very enthusiastic about the sale still. That's, that part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's try that, and then that's basically the full conversation part of it. No, see, she doesn't like that very much.
She's yawning at you. She really doesn't like
I
it.
know. Oh, that's right. See, all of these things start layering up on each other. So this whole part with the selection, after you make a selection, you don't want these to display anymore. So when selection has been made, you actually want to make sure all that display comes off too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. And let's see here. So when selection equals selection made, perfect. And one thing we're gonna do on here real quick is when I go back here, I turn off the selection made variable, because that's what was happening when I came back in that conversation. It kept that. So selection made equals false. Okay. So that should work a little bit better now. Perfect.
Cool.
And she's saying that get away you peasant, because I start off with a very low disposition. But if I go in here.
Hi, bestie. Nice.
So that's, you can see that actually like in full effect, like based on how much she likes me or doesn't like me, it changes the response. So that's how you would start affecting those relationships on what you want, whether it's cheaper prices or she gives you a sword if you make her happy. you know, in however way you want to manipulate disposition through Speechcraft or through doing quests for them and gain favor, it's like kind of up to you. You can just have it where after you punch her 3 times, you know, it goes from 100 to 0 or whatever, and then you make her angry. It just kind of depends. Alrighty. So back in here now, we're going to get to the fun Speechcraft stuff.
Right.
And how are we doing on time? Not
15 minutes.
That's not too bad, actually.
Yeah.
All of these things are complicated and they layer, so I'm glad they all have their own beasts, so that's actually not too bad at all.
Yeah.
So when selection 2, that's going to be where I do that. So we're going to go now and switch pages. And I'm sure, let's see here, brain, switch page. And we're going to just do next page. Perfect. Okay. And I'm going to do that. And so we're going to do a 3rd page here. And this is just at Speechcraft.
And I like how you follow the same thing I follow, where I like to put ats before all my my pages, so it appears at the very beginning of the search.
Yep. Exactly. And first thing I'm going to do is actually just add a press B option here. I always like to get my exit strategy first, because it's so when you're stuck, when you close yourself off in test mode, it's really annoying.
Yeah.
And all I'm going to do is let me get out of Speechcraft and switch back over here to conversation.
And as Word Andrew said, you could use this tutorial, for instance, to make it like a whole dialogue tree or speech system based on certain skills you have.
Yeah, and if there's a want for that, I'd be more than happy to make that, because I think like really complicated, you know, text trees and dialogue and stuff can make really deep games, you know, especially where, like, you know, it's intensive, right, to chase around and build these big settings or whatever. I mean, if you have these deep characters that run like this, I mean, you could have a single village, and if you have 5 or 6 characters with these layers on it, I mean, you have an experience that can last like 45 minutes.
Yep.
And that depth there, I think it just works really well for Spark, and I'd like to see more of that in the community. So
yeah, exactly. Like the more options you give, especially in dialogue, it both increases replayability and increases the amount of time people want to stay in the world, because people do really enjoy finding all the things if all the things are good in a game.
All right, so Speechcraft. So most of Speechcraft is happening through the UI, and that's the most part. The actual function of it's pretty simple. The hard part is just making it look okay and understandable to the character. And so the way I did this first is I set up a nice vector variable, and I'm setting up a vector variable for where I want basically the center of with that circle I showed right at the beginning like to be. So this is where this mini game is going to be located on my screen. In Oblivion, it's top left, and I'm just keeping with that. So that, and I want to set it's going to be as an X and it's a Y. There is no Z component because it is doing the 2-dimensional vector position of the screen. So for those who don't know, when you display anything on screen, you can choose its position by a vector, and you basically there's the X, which is horizontal, so going across your screen, and then there's a Y axis going up and down, and the values go from 1 to -1. So you think of 1 would go to your right, and -1 goes toward the left, and 0 is at the center or the origin, and then you have Y and positive Y up and negative Y down, so it's the exact same thing.
Yeah, it goes back to like graphs that you learned back in grade school, high school, that are all just based on X and Y values. They have a real world relevance if you're building video games.
They really do.
Yeah.
So I want it to be top left, so it's a positive Y, and it's actually going to be a negative X. And the one that worked well, at least for me, when I was practicing, it was 0.6. So that's what we're going to go with. I'm going to throw a negative on there. And then that just lets me know that's the vector I'm going to be going for. So at that point, I'm going to display, and I'm going to use a lot of the new UI elements that were in our update to the 2D gameplay pack, which I'm going to be using the circle and the quarter circles for most of this. That's how you get that nice pizza look. So we're going to find those in the gallery picker. And icons, and I just want to keep this up. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to do that. So the way that Project Sparks understands displays, the first is the bottom, and you layer on top of that. So you want to make sure your code, it's very important that you run your code in the order that you want it to display. So I'm going to do my big circle at first. So I'm going to do display circle there, and we can affect basically just its height, scale, and everything like that. I'm going to do a scale of 1.2. And we're going to make this color, we'll just do orange. And then for this guy, we're going to just do 1. And we're going to do this yellow. So let's just take a look and see what that looks like once I get there. Oh, and KMK Hunter makes a good point. You can also do the display priority if you want to like keep your code in the order that you want. So you can actually change the way that they appear. But by default, they will like layer on top how you tell it to go. Okay, there we go. So we're in here. And it's trapped. Okay, let's go see what the problem is. Debugging's so fun, isn't it, guys?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's so necessary.
It's really necessary. I think I'm switching this. I think I'm switching the page out before I like do it. So let's see, 2. When selection made. Equals to switch page. Well, these weren't displaying. Oh, wait.
Oh, you're not saying. You need to say at screen position.
That's right. I did that too when I was making it yesterday. Dang it.
I'm gonna go.
It's modifiers.
Modifiers.
Position.
Yeah.
Screen position.
There you go.
Derp. Thanks, everybody. Okay, B pressed, and that is going to switch me back over here, which that didn't actually happen before, so I got to figure out why not. Anyway, let's just make sure that actually happened. Okay. Yay, there's the pizza. The start of a nice pizza.
Ooh, it's nice and cheesy.
Yes. And it switched me back, so I need to make sure again.
Looks like I need
to close the...
Right.
Yeah, those
close
variables.
that boolean.
Yep. Because it keeps just looping me.
Yep. Goes back to page 2 and it's like, is this boolean true? Okay, bring you right back to page 3.
And what I want to do is selection... Which is funny because I thought I had on here. Yeah, this one I need to make for sure. Equals false. And I think when I have page entered, selection equals 1, which is fine. So that hopefully should work. Okay. Let me test that real quick. Now I'm just really hungry because of the pizza.
Yeah.
There we go.
For
See,
2D
perfect.
icon pizza.
I know. Nom nom nom.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. And
now the finishing step.
exactly. So this is when we get all fancy with the quarter circles.
And page entered runs like a started to. Someone just asked that in chat. Does page entered run like a started to? Page entered views things under page entered. They run for just 1 frame as soon as that page is entered. Someone was asking about that.
Yeah, it's a very powerful code tile.
Super powerful,
especially when you're switching between pages like this.
Yeah,
you can like kind of clean variables. That's how I like to use it.
I use page entered a lot for a lot of my stuff.
Exactly. Okay, and I need to find all these guys. So bottom chosen, right chosen. So what I'm doing here is I'm finding the booleans that I had set before because I just don't want to retype them all in. So right, bottom. Oh, that turned out in the perfect order. All right, and we're going to do the controls now. And we're going to use the D-pad here. And there we go, D-pad up. Okay, D-pad up, D-pad right, D-pad down, and D-pad left. Okay, so when we do that, we're going to be displaying different things. Or we're actually going to be, yeah, we'll be changing the color. Okay. And oh man, and there's wheel positions too. Okay. There's so much on this one. Well, first we are going to do the wheel position because that's really important. So one thing I'm doing in this to get the rotating is through wheel position. And that's just the way I think about it, as like a wheel that rotates. And we're actually gonna do first wheel position equals 1 to start, and you will see what the wheel position I use it for. And we're gonna just do once is over here. Okay. And so the pie chart, if you notice about it, the way it works is that there's different weights on each one, and all I'm doing is affecting the scale of those different weights. So wheel position is actually kind of an illusion because you're just changing the scale of each piece of the pie. So you have like the big one and it moves around the screen, and I just am doing that by changing the scale. So you can see that I'm setting them here like this. So I have scale bottom, and we're going to do this in the same way. Scale bottom, and then there's scale left. And scale top too. Scale top. Bottom's going to go there, left, and I need right.
So what I'm inferring by what you take the 4 pizza wedges basically and have them at different scales, and that like to follow along with the Oblivion.
Exactly, yeah.
The
way that Oblivion does it. And this is, you could make any kind of way. This is just like the mini game that I thought was cool, and it's heavy UI, so that's why I liked it.
Yeah. You are a guy who loves UI.
I really do. I do really like UI. I think it's cool, and you can like make very unique looking things, I think, based off of it. Like my favorite thing is when a game, you go in and a game has really nice like a really nice presentation in the UI, and it's really professional looking. I just love that because it shows that they put the time into it, and it's a very good, when we're looking for things to feature and stuff like that, it's a good clue in like, hey, this person worked hard on this, and it's just another step. So there you go. And you can put these in any order. I'm gonna just actually do this where they're like in the same line to keep things easy for me right now. So there's 4 positions where they rotate around, and all I do actually is, so I have 9 goes to 9, this goes to 8, 7 goes to 7, and 6 goes back up here, and I just delete, do it again. Did I just put it back? No.
Wait, I think you did. Yes.
No! Very good. Okay, I want to delete these ones.
Yep.
There we go.
There you go.
All right, and wheel position 4. And last time. Perfect. Okay, and you'll see this all come together here in just 1 second. I promise. Okay. So now when I have, what I need to do now is make the actual displays for the wedges. And the way to do that here is we're going to do display, We're going to find the wedges in here. What am I looking at? This is what I'm looking for. Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to do top first. So display the quarter circle.
Then at screen position.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. With the actual modifier I need. There you go. Right, instead of straight to the variable. And I actually did a little adjustment based off of it, and I won't do it right away because we'll see what it looks like. But I actually have it where it's like a little bit, so there's like a nice border trim between. Anyway,
yeah.
And then at this point, we're gonna do at the scale, and you'll see here the scale is gonna be top scale, and as you see, it changes every time I update the wheel position.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna do this for each one of these here. Right. It's actually really funny, because when you click these and like the actual part of like the disposition changes that happen is really easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
And left. Okay.
And then you want to have them being the different scales, right?
Yeah. You are correct. Wait, come on. Whatever. Scale, so this is right. And bottom. The top there. And finally, last but not least, scale.
Oh, wait, wander time.
So
Close. There. Wait, you had it.
Nope, I did it again!
There you go.
And what we'll do is make these a different color too, so you can see these. And red. Okay. There we go. So let's just look how that looks right off the bat. So there's the wedges,
Nice.
and I'm not doing anything to change them yet or anything like that.
So now how do those wedges change in size?
Exactly. So that's the next fun part here is now when I actually like select them. So when I'm on here and when I do D-pad up and so let me find and I press A. We're gonna do this for all of them. And A pressed. Okay. So when I do this, this is going to be where I actually make my like choices. And let's see here. So I have up chosen. And there's a reason actually why I do these, and I don't know if we're going to end up getting to it. We're already over. I knew it was going to be tough to try to get this all in.
Yeah, but it's cool.
I know.
Cool. To
see, I'm learning my time constraints.
Yeah. That's why, like, I think we promised a few months ago that we do a random dungeon generator, and then Zach and I sat down to do it, and we realized, oh, this is going to take much more than an hour. But, yeah, there's some really cool random dungeon generators out there, so we're still trying to create a version of a random dungeon generator that you can do in an hour. And we think we'll get there one day.
And let's do wheel position. Increment by, and I think this is gonna be the last thing that I put in here, and then we'll take a quick look at the final code in my other version. So if you're trying to see everything final, it'll be there. But I don't want to keep you guys too long. I'm already like, I think these streams like are really long, so I always appreciate when everybody sticks around. Okay. So we're gonna go here, and so as you can see, the wheel's like rotating, and there's no UI yet to like establish the fact that it is. See, and I don't have it where it resets or anything like that yet. But you can see that it starts to rotate and create that. All right, so let me go back over here. And we're going to go and show the final example one time. And see, I'm so glad I made that. That was really nice. I could just do that.
Yeah.
Really quick. I'm going to do that for all my tutorials now. So if we go back to what I showed in the very beginning, this is like the final, and it has like where I actually select it.
With like a bit of extra UI work, yeah.
Yeah, and the way it works is when I select it, it grays it out and they move across. And I'll jump into the brain here, and then the board resets, and there's also like a nice rotate. Free rotate that you get per 4 choices.
Very cool.
So, and I will jump real quick and show that logic.
So like, yeah, so people can start to see the last few things that...
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to build this,
you can upload this, and we'll put it in the starter kit feed.
Yeah, there you go. I'll do that. So, you have all this fun stuff. Here's the wheel position. This is basically telling it to restart, go loop back from 4 to 1. When I enter it for the first time, this actually, rotate available. So this is if, once you're in there, it sets everything up. Wheel position, this is what we saw already that I did. I had them where they're a different order, which is easier to keep, or harder to keep track of, but I still did a terrible job keeping track anyway. So 1, 2, 3, 4, there's me setting those. These are the 2 big circles. Okay, and then this is where it gets complicated. So I have, when I haven't chosen this, because I have the memory of when I have chosen something versus not, it goes in and displays that. So this is saying it's green, so that's when I get to do the choice. It's displaying just that emoticon above the target's head. And then at that point I can press, I have a nice emote that goes, and then this is where I do the weights based off of the scale and change the disposition. So you can have basically it's a 25, 10, 15, 5, like that. And that was just me correlating which position was the bigger weighted pizza slice. And then you have the wheel position increments, and then up chosen equal true. So what happens at that point, right? So when this sets it, so when that becomes up chosen equals true, I can't do any of this anymore. It doesn't allow me to select it. And then else, because when it is true, I am displaying the gray when up chosen is actually true. Otherwise, it shows the red as one of my options. So I think that's a pretty clean way of doing it. There's probably others. And then it goes through each one like that. But it's all the same thing. So actually not too bad.
Right. It's just like, once you have the basics down of all of the different booleans and number variables, it's just adding a little bit of polish on top of that. And
and you guys all about polishing.
Yeah, exactly. So for newer Sparkers who are watching this and they're seeing like 79 lines of code, oh my god, a lot of this is just copying and pasting.
It's a lot of copying and pasting on this.
Adding some things on top of each other.
Yep. And then the last thing, here's a little tip for any text or whatever. If you do the brackets, so D-pad like that will give you the nice D-pad, plus A, and then brackets, so those will actually be like the icons in the gallery. So those are just a good little tip. The one thing with rotate, it's actually really easy. I just keep track of the Boolean there, and then when it is available, it allows me to update the wheel position once. And I can show that. So there's just the display for it, and then it lets me know when I've already done it. That's just showing the disposition part there. This is the reset, so when I reset, it switches those back all to false. Rotate comes available again, just like that. And here's the rotate. That's all it is. Rotate available, press X, it happens, and then it makes it not available.
Cool.
So pretty straightforward. Let me peek at chat to see if there is any questions. I don't really see any.
No. Do you want to end with uploading this so people can play it?
Yeah, I will definitely upload this.
While you're uploading it, let's see. Two news items to talk about. biggest news item is the community game jam going on now. I think everyone who's currently in chat live knows about it, but anyone who's watching on YouTube, you should know we started we didn't. The community started a game jam last Friday. We're supporting it as much as we can by having a banner in-game. We're also going to have a feed that will show all the game jam entries. And it started on Friday. Submissions have to be in by April 5th. Their theme is avant-garde. So basically anything that kind of looks new and different inside of Project Spark. It's very open, has amazing prizes of Alienware laptops, things like that. So I would highly recommend everyone going over to project-spark.org, check it out, and participate in the game jam. We had amazing entries when we did our forward game jam. We're really happy about what the community is doing with this game jam, so I think they're going to get amazing entries too. Mm-hmm. And then someone did bring up in chat, I did a panel over the weekend at South by Southwest with people at Roblox and Minecraft. It was myself, Sax, some Roblox people, some Minecraft people, and it was really cool, a really awesome panel. We actually, it may sound weird that we're all in the same room talking about the same thing, but we love the guys at Roblox. We love the Minecraft people. We all really are here to work together, work on building really cool things together. So we all have like this, we've all been incredibly friendly with each other and trying to help each other out. So this panel was actually, the Roblox guys came to us and said, hey, we're doing this. Do you want to be a part of this at South by Southwest? We said yes. We had a great conversation sort of about the future of UGC creations. And Roblox should be uploading that to YouTube later on, I think this week. So people can take a listen. Sax says some really cool stuff. I say some really boring stuff, but the Roblox people say some really cool stuff also. So it's a great thing to watch and to just hear, basically from all these UGC platform creators, what they see as the future of people who are making UGC and like how we want to make that sort of the game industry.
There you have it. That was pretty quick to clean it up. But
yeah. Awesome. Oh, a squirrel!
Did it just jump off her head?
Yeah, I don't know. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
All right. Well, we'll catch you guys on Thursday. Really cool thing on Thursday. We are going to have the Game Jam winner, Ersild Demal, in our office. So he'll be joining us on Thursday to just build stuff. So everyone definitely tune in Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific time to get to see kind of the Game Jam winner in here. He was with us, him and Nini, making really cool things. And thanks everyone for watching.
Alrighty.
Create your game as you play? Any Spark can do it. Spark, activate the portals.